We're shifting focus to more news and updates coming in. We're now learning that an emergency meeting of the United Nations Security Council has been convened in order to address the drone incursions into Polish airspace from Russia. Now, for the first time in history, Poland has called for such an emergency meeting. Poland's Secretary of State Macrine Bosaki has stated that the drone incursions into its territory by Russia were a purposeful violation of Poland's territorial integrity. He stressed that these incursions were a deliberate attempt and not a mistake. The United States has also reacted rather strongly to these, and acting U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Dorothy Shea, has stated that the United States stands by its NATO allies and has assured that it will defend NATO territory. She further added that Russia has intensified its attacks on Ukraine since the Alaska summit and has called on Russia to live up to its commitment to diplomacy. Meanwhile, the Russian representative has denied violating Polish airspace and has claimed that there were no targets marked on Polish territory. However, NATO members are currently holding consultations under Article 4 of NATO's founding treaty. This article allows members to bring any issue of concern, especially related to security, to the table for discussion. Listen in to what was said at the meeting.
Such incidents happened before, but this time we know that that was the first time since the beginning of Russian full-scale invasion on Ukraine in 2022 that Polish territorial integrity has been purposely violated on such an unprecedented scale. We know, and I repeat, we know that it was not a mistake.
The United States stands by our NATO allies in the face of these alarming airspace violations. The United States is consulting with Poland and our other NATO allies under Article 4 of the North Atlantic Treaty. And rest assured, we will defend every inch of NATO territory.
With us on the broadcast is Professor Rohan Gunaratne, International Affairs expert, joining us from Singapore. Thank you for taking our time speaking to us on NewsX World. Interesting developments taking place as far as the Russia-Ukraine war is concerned. We've earlier seen statements by Donald Trump, of course, pointing out to the fact that it takes two to tango. He earlier stated that when Putin wanted to go ahead and establish peace, Zelensky did not. Now that Zelensky does, Putin does not. So this is the sort of rhetoric that's coming from the US president. Meanwhile, Poland has called for a UNSC meeting, an extraordinary UNSC meeting to address the incursions in its airspace. So where do you see this headed next? Also in picture is now Trump urging G7 nations to slap tariffs against China and India.
Yeah, what we are seeing is in Poland, there was a clear violation of airspace by the Russians. But it was not deliberate, it was not intentional. Because if the Russians wanted to attack Poland, they have the capabilities to do so. Russia is a military power. The Russian target was Ukraine. But certainly because of the airspace violation, the Europeans and the Americans have now decided to take some action against Russia. But what is important is at this time, these governments should be very patient because President Trump is doing his best after the Alaska summit to bring about a resolution on Ukraine. And this incursion in Poland should not affect that very strategic move to build, to restore peace between Ukraine and Russia.
All right, sir, I request you to stay on with us as we track more